Welcome back to my channel. It is Angela and it is February 12th, 2025. It is 10:30 in the morning. I had started a snowstorm late last night, early this morning. I didn't go to work because of that, because by the end of, we're supposed to have from 3 a.m. to 9 p.m. today, Wednesday, over 8 inches of snow. We've got close to 4 now, and it stopped. It was supposed to start back up an hour ago, because it was only supposed to be stopped for like an hour, but it hasn't started back up, and now it's saying that we're going to get snow in like 45 minutes, so I don't know that we're going to get any more. And it's still cloudy and cold as F outside, but yeah, it went down to like 12 degrees, so yeah. February actually started off rather warm. We had a couple days where it was like 60 degrees, which is unheard of here. Now we're finally getting back into February type temps, and I hate it. I'm finishing my third cup of coffee this morning. I decided to go ahead and do this tag. It was by Shanna Dee. It's hashtag favorite jeans tag. I've had it on my list to do. I just haven't done it. We've been so busy at work, and today's going to make us really behind at work. So the rest of the week's going to be a nightmare when I finally do go back to work. I actually took Friday off, so now I may have to take that back because we're off today. And then tomorrow morning I have a doctor's appointment, and then Monday I have a doctor's appointment. So if I take Friday off, I won't really be working a whole lot this week and Monday, but we'll see how it goes. I'm concerned about the weather, because at this point, if it stays stopped at this point, I could have went into work, but I have a tiny car, and my tiny car, when I get 2 inches of snow, it doesn't want to get out of the driveway, and I didn't want to risk it, considering we were supposed to get up to 8 inches, so, and it was supposed to snow all the way up till 9 p.m. tonight, so we'll see. Anyway, back to the video at hand. There's 10 prompts here. I struggled with this, and I think that's why I haven't done it, because I struggled with this, to transfer these prompts into a tarot deck. And I've got all tarot decks here, no oracle decks. But it's 10 prompts. Hashtag favorite jeans deck. So number 1 is a well-worn sweater, a deck that wraps you in quiet wisdom. And that would be my Journey of the Sacred Bee. This deck is the first Kickstarter deck that Kelly Burton ever did. I did not get it on Kickstarter because I was like, I don't need a bee deck. That's stupid. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit here. A little bit. And love the teal, love the green. You know, my favorite color is green. It's that indie quality shimmy cardstock. Beautiful. They're a little bit larger than your typical tarot size. This is a Thoth-based deck also. It has what suit it is, so it's 4 of Cups, a keyword on the minors, and then the astrological and planetary symbol here. I have told the same story 50,000 times. I love this 5 of disc. Where you normally see a person outside of what do you call it? Oh my gosh, I can't even think. Outside in the cold, they can't get in the building. The door is wide open, and it just threw me for a whole new loop with this deck. And this deck is deep. This deck is my Hierophant deck. Anytime it calls me to work with it, there's something to learn. And it's usually deep and profound and very wisdomous, I'll say. Very full of wisdom. And I'm like, wow, like, it's stunning. The coloring is beautiful. So the story goes, I decided I didn't want it. I don't need a bee deck. And then after the Kickstarter ended, it was still like, you need to buy me. And I'm like, no, I don't. And then after the pre-order went off for pre-ordering, if you didn't want the Kickstarter, it didn't get the Kickstarter, I said, I don't need a B deck. I don't. And then after all that was said and done, it said, buy me. And I'm like, fine. So it wore me down. And then the second I got it, when I went through my walkthrough, it was love. Just love, 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 love. And so that is the deck that wraps me in quiet wisdom. It's very, for it being so loud in colors, it's very quiet. So number 2 is a familiar walking path, a deck that knows where you're headed before you do. Huh. Okay. I thought I put that as something else. What is it? Okay. A familiar walking path, a deck that knows where you're headed before you do. And I will say that's my Ancestral Path Tarot by Julia Cuccia Watts. This deck, this is a U.S. Games deck. If I can find the U.S. Games. Okay. I've had this deck for a long time. It is very large, oracle size. It has a tiny little white book with it. There's the logo. Has these backs. Everybody should be familiar with this deck. This is one of 2 decks in my entire collection that feels like I've owned it before. Like, all of the things, Sacred Circles are Pentacles, 9 of Swords is Swords, of course, Sacred Circles, Pentacles. It feels like I've owned it before. And in that respect, it knows what I'm going to ask before I ask it. And I love that about it. Staves is Wands. It is stunning. A stunning deck. I got this because I wanted one of her other decks that I fell in love with the 10 of Wands over. And I really didn't like some of the cards in there. They were like, eek, nails on a chalkboard. And I walked into my local metaphysical shop and they had this deck. And I'm like, well, I'll buy this one. And then if it feels that niche, then I won't need to buy the other deck. And what happened was, that's exactly what happened. I fell madly in love with this deck. It has different cultures in it. It has a beautiful nudging is what I'll say. It's a beautiful nudging on this deck. And I don't often get it out because I use it for ancestor work. And so I'm not always doing ancestor work. But when I do get it out, it's amazing. Look at this Fool. And she's reading with this deck, which I think is cool. She's holding the Fool card, which is awesome. But yeah, this is a gorgeous, stunning, beautiful, there's the extra card deck. And yeah, that is my answer for number 2. Real quick. I can't believe it. I'm only on 2. We got to hurry this up. And these are humongous cards. I know I mentioned that, but I'm reiterating, they're huge cards. All right, number 3. Let me get my tablet back out here. Number 3 is a warm socks on a cold floor, a deck that grounds you in comfort. And the only deck I ever think of when I hear the word comfort is my Oak Ash and Thorn. This is my ultimate comfort deck. This is the first deck I ever bought that was like warm blanket, just wrap me in a warm hug on a cold winter's night, hot cocoa in hand, despite the fact that this is my fall deck. It's very, very much my comfort deck. And a lot of times I think that's why I don't get it out, because I find this deck very precious to me. All of Three Trees Tarot decks I find very precious. So I tend not to use them a whole lot. But sometimes I'll just get it out and look at it. I don't have to shuffle it. I don't have to use it. I can just get it out and go through the beautiful art, and it just wraps me in a warm hug. And that's why anytime I hear the word comfort, this deck comes out. Look at that freaking hermit. I mean, come on. So stunning, so beautiful, and I love it to pieces. So that is number 3. Number 4 is your grandmother's recipe box. Number 4. A deck that holds generational wisdom. And I was going to get out, for a minute there, all I could think about was my Housewives Tarot. Because it's literally like a recipe box. But if I'm being honest, I'm going to get out the Forger's Daughter. Because this is my grandmother's deck. I could have also used the Marielle because it's my other grandmother's deck. But this one's so beautiful and so sweet. This is the 2nd edition, Afterlight edition. It's indie deck. Freaking beautiful. And the things I've uncovered using this deck fascinates me. Fascinates me. To my very core. Fascinates me. And I know, when I use this deck, my grandmother's there every single time. Every single time. And there's been times where I've had visions of, my music just went off. There's been times where I will be sitting here just playing with the cards, and I will have a, not even a memory, just a vision pop up. I'm sorry, my music, it's on commercial, sorry. Just a vision pop up in my head that something that she experienced, and I'm like, that is insane. And yeah, this is the total, whatever the question I just asked. I don't know. I've got it on my tablet here, and my tablet keeps going down. So number 4 was your grandmother's recipe box, a deck that holds generational wisdom. This is it for me because it will show me experiences she's had, which I find super fascinating. And yeah, it's her deck also, so that's why. So number 5, a window seat on a stormy day, a deck that makes space for shadow work. And I've got my shadow work deck, the Fair and Pincher Tarot by Los Scarabeo. I've talked about this many times. Really recently I've talked about it because I came to the conclusion that it is my grandfather's deck, not the spouse of the deck I just showed you, but my other side, my mom's side, my grandfather, who is not always a nice person, who, and this deck, it's funny because when I first bought this deck, I bought it because I was like, okay, I need to, I think this is the deck I was thinking about wanting, and it just showed up in my local metaphysical shop, so I bought it. It was on sale, and I brought it home. And I started having immediate reactions to, like, the Chariot, which is my soul card. The wheel has come off, and it's just, to me, utter chaos. I visibly cringed the first time when I did the walkthrough of this deck. It was horrible. I'm like, oh. And then using it as only my shadow work deck for so long. I mean, the last 2 or 3 years, I've had it 3 years at least. Using it for solely a shadow work deck, and then coming to the conclusion, just like November, was it October, November, December, I did a whole video on Grandpa's deck, which is this deck, realizing the reason it's my shadow work deck is because it's his deck, because he has a lot of stuff he's worked through on the other side, and some of us that are still alive are still holding on to the old him. And it's doing nobody any good. And that deck blew my mind when I realized this is why it's my shadow work deck. Because I'm working through some of the same shadow work he's had to work through, but on the other side. And I just found that fascinating. So that was deck 5, right? Yes. Number 6, the one pair of jeans you never have to think about. A deck that just gets you without trying. And this was going to be my Light Sears, but it's not, because Light Sears goes in a different category. This is my out of print, sorry, Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh Tarot. This is my second Ride or Die ever. If I had a flood or a fire, the Light Sears and this would be the two decks I grab, because I can't live without them. This is the deck that, oh my gosh, hold on. This is the one deck, other than the Light Sears, that I could be away from it for months at a time, come back, and we just pick up the conversation where we left off. And in fact, it may have gotten smarter while it sat on the shelf, because it always has new insight for me. On top of the fact that it's Anna Torian's artwork, and I cannot get enough of her artwork, period. This is a stunning, stunning deck. I love it to pieces. It gets me. I get it. We vibe very well. I do use this more toward mediumship work than myself. But if I need it, it's there. Always. So that was deck 6. I don't know why my tablet just keeps shutting off. It's fully charged. Like every 2 seconds it's shutting off. I'm like, ugh. 7 is your chipped but perfect coffee mug. A deck that doesn't need you to be fancy to show up. That'll be my 2.0 tarot. Had to throw an RWS in there. This deck looks like it's been through hell. But this is the RWS. Look at that. It's from Make Playing Cards. Look how scuffed it is. When I thought of it doesn't need to be fancy to show up, I'm like, this is exactly that deck, because first of all, it's stunning coloration. Stunning coloration. The borders aren't really borders because the color goes outside of that, and I love it for that. Plus, this is the RWS that opened my mind to straight up RWS decks. I had my very first deck, I've said it a million times also, was the Radiant Rider-Waite Smith, and I hated it. I hated it. I even come to the conclusion that maybe I shouldn't read tarot. I'm just an oracle reader. And then I watched Simon from the Hermit's Cave. And so many of my conversations, and I've noticed other tarot tubers' conversations start out with, well, I happened across Simon from the Hermit's Cave channel. But it's so true, right? And he was showing this deck, and I'm like, I have to have that. The coloring in it was gorgeous. I got it. I told myself, you don't need it because you're never going to use it, because it's straight up RWS clone, right? But something made me buy it. Look at this freaking Empress, that sky, stunning. I bought it, and then something said, hey, take that deck to work and pull a card. And I'm like, no, that's stupid. And then I took it to work, pulled a card, and everything changed. Everything. Like, all of a sudden, I could read with RWS decks, and it was just fabulous. And for that, this is my deck that it don't even have to try. I don't have to try. It don't have to try. We're just there together, having a good time with each other. And I love it to pieces. So that was deck 7. Deck 8. That book you've read so many times, the pages are falling out. A deck that knows all your stories and loves you anyway. And that is my number 1 ever Light Sears Tarot. It knows all my idiosyncrasies. It knows all my secrets. It knows all my pains, all my passions. This is the Hay House version. You can tell I've used it many times. It's very warped. I love it, though, to pieces. I may get a second copy just to have one, because if something happened to this deck, I would probably stop reading tarot, period. Because this deck is me in a deck. And it's almost like she had me in mind when she made this, Chris Ann. And I'm like, how did she do that? How did she do that? Because this is it's me in a deck. And that's how I know it's my soul deck. Because it's me in a deck. I've told it all my stories. It knows all the ugly truths about me and doesn't care. It loves me anyway. And I freaking love it for that. It's like the best friend that you never had. It's like the, yeah, everything. So that is the Light Seers Tarot. That is deck 8. And y'all knew that was going to make an appearance, right? Because it always does somewhere. So that was deck 8. Deck 9 is, and I had a hard time with these last two, for real. Number 9, the playlist you've had since high school. A deck that knows all your phases and still vibes with you. And I feel like I have nothing from high school. Nothing. My ring, my outfit, nothing. I'm a totally different person than I was in high school. And I find it very hard to do this because I don't have any memorabilia or anything from my high school experience. But this deck, the Rhythm and Soul Tarot, it's an indie deck. Or it's a Kickstarter deck, excuse me. This deck, I was like, I need this deck in my life. Got it. I grew up 40 minutes from Memphis. This deck is in Memphis, Tennessee. The cardstock's not the greatest, but it does have gilding. It is a little bit bigger than normal tarot size. I used the crap out of it when I got it. This deck is my youth in a deck, period. I've sat outside this Sun Records where Elvis got his start, his first recordings. There's benches out front there. I've sat there. I have a photo somewhere of me as a teenager sitting out front there. This deck brought up so many memories for me that I thought didn't even remember. That I was just like, oh wow. And it reads amazing. It's a very familial deck for me. And I just found that fascinating. That it hit so hard when it did. And I love it to pieces. The cards are beautiful. And that would be my playlist that I've had since high school, is the Rhythm and Blues, which is also, incidentally, a musical deck. I didn't get the big book that comes with it, the big extra workbook, but every card has a song, like the Eight of Axes. Are you freaking kidding me? The Eight of Axes is the Eight of Swords, which is the first card I ever resonated with in tarot. I just opened the book and there it was. But the song is Eyesight to the Blind by Sonny Boy Williamson and performed by B.B. King. And I love that about this deck, that it literally dips itself in the culture of Memphis jazz and blues and rhythm and all that, and I freaking love it. Love it. And so I just found that ironic that that's the deck I chose for the playlist deck. It couldn't be another deck. So the last prompt, before I run out of time here, is number 10. Your go-to takeout order. You don't even have to think about a deck that just works without the fuss. And why? Looks like you're getting... My stuff went on commercial. That never happens. But a deck that works without the fuss. That is going to be another new deck, Desert Illuminations by Lindsay D. Williams. This is a U.S. Games deck. This fell off the shelf the other day, and the back of the box now has a hole. Pissed me off. It just means I need to rearrange my decks. But I wanted this. Look at the teal edging. Gorgeous. The backs are beautiful. The cardstock is amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Cardstock. That's me messing that up because my hands hurt today. Because it's like 17 degrees now. It's ridiculous. There's no muss or no fuss. It's a straight reader and in a beautiful backdrop. That's all I can tell you. It's great. It was at one point an indie deck. And I was like, when I found out maybe 3 years ago that it was going mass market, I said, I'll just wait. And it was worth the wait. I ain't gonna lie. The cardstock is soft, buttery, beautiful. The cards are gorgeous. They make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And I don't know why, because they're vibrant, high energy cards. But at the same time, it's my takeout order. It's the order that I don't have to think about. I don't have to peruse the menu. I just know when I'm getting into, when I get it, it's going to be a straight up, full-on reader, and there may be an alien or two in it. And I love that about this deck. And it's so beautiful. that is my last deck and the last prompt. So, that's all I got for you guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And y'all have a good night. Bye.